Hello, all my stamping friends. I'm Lisa Fulford, your creative coach, and I'm from Indiana. If this is your first time tuning in, then welcome. I hope you like what you see, and please give this video a thumbs up and let me know in the comments where you are from. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. Don't forget to subscribe and click that bell so you will be notified of future videos. And this is the project we are working on tonight. It is the embossed on black and then adding color to the embossed. And so you can see it better if I get closer. When it's down like this, it doesn't show as much, but in person you can see it. You can see the berry burst and then the, I think it's summer splash there. And I did spritz it with a little bit of, it's Winka Stella and it's in the spritzer with alcohol. And so we will get started doing this fun technique, and I hope that you'll give this a try because I had fun doing this. Here's another one that I did, and this one here is that Simply Xenia embossing folder, but it's got such fine detail and there's not a lot of space. The only thing that really pops is the purple colors. There are yellows and greens on this one. So this one wasn't as much of a positive that I didn't find unless I would have done all the flowers in the purple. But it's still pretty. I mean, in person you can see it better than you can on camera. And I did go a little heavy on that Winka Stella, but you can't add too much shimmer, can you? So there is that card. This is the one we're going to make now, though. And so we'll get started with that. So to begin with, I do have a few pieces of cardstock here. And this is 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. And this is thick basic white. Then I have a piece of berry burst here that is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then another piece of basic white. Now this is just regular weight, but it is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then this is the piece that we're going to emboss and do the fun technique with. And it's the basic black, and it's 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. And then I have a berry burst deckled circle and then a basic white deckled circle for the sentiment. We will be using the, Petunia Pop, and this ribbon, I think is the bordered ribbon. I have a few of my finger daubers here, and then I have several inks here. And I've got my memento for my sentiment. We have basic white, or this here, not basic white, but it's the pigment white, and that's what helps make the magic to make it where the colors will show. And then I have Pretty in Pink, Peach Pie, Granny Apple, Summer Splash, and Berry Burst. The ones that really show up the best are the Summer Splash and the Berry Burst. So I'm not certain I'm going to go ahead and use these, but I definitely am going to use these two. So I'll put them on top. So to be able to start, we need to get this embossed. And the embossing that I'm using is the Layered Florals 3D embossing folder. And so I'm going to take that out. And right here, this line, I'm going to put in our black basic white. Let's see. I'm going to line up on this black line right here at the bottom where our logo is, pardon me. And we're going to put that down quite like that. And I have my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine here. Bring that in. I'm going to have it back here where you can see. And then we're going to use plate 1, the thick plate. Sorry, if I just hit my mic, sorry. And then we're going to use our embossing folder, and this is the seam, so it's got to go in first. So the seam is here, the logo's down there. We're going to put that in first. And then we're going to do plate number 4, and we're going to slide that in. And we're going to push it till it starts going, and then we're going to crank that through the machine. My emboss machine out of the way. And there is our piece that is embossed. And you can see it well here, but then now we want to make it pop a little bit with some color. So I'm going to grab my finger dauber. I used my white pigment ink with. We're going to open that up. One moment, please. Excuse me, I got a tickle. And I'm just going to load that ink up. I'll move these over to the side and get more in the camera. That way you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to load the ink up on this finger dauber, and then I'm going to rub across the large floral pieces. I'm trying not to get on the background, just trying to get it on the florals. Okay. And the heavier it is, better off, because if you get it too light, the colored ink won't show as well. And so I'm not pressing real hard, I'm just scraping across it, trying to deposit the ink onto it. And I'm trying not to get too much on the background. See, you can see it starting to pop. If you get a little bit on the background, you try to brush it off later, and some of it is fine. Like that. And down here. And this is a card that you have to be a little bit patient with. And so you have to, try to not get it too much everywhere. But then it also is one that you're going to have, this is a very wet ink. So you're going to have to allow it time to dry. Or you could increase that, speed that up by using your heat tool. Just still filling these all in. Like I said, this isn't a really fast card, but it is a pretty card. A very pretty card. Okay. I could see that starting to turn gray a little bit. Not quite as white as it was when I started. That's because it's soaking into the paper. So I'm going to go over it a little bit more in some places. So we're going to put down this pigment ink. It also is a bit messy on my fingers. I had different inks. Of course, it could just be that I'm messy, but I think that looks pretty good, but we're going to have to let that dry. So I'm going to try to bring in my heat tool. First I need to grab I have this cutting board that I use for my heat tool. I'm going to put this aluminum foil down. So that helps to retain the heat. Put that on there. I can put this piece of paper down so it's easier to see. I'm going to grab my stylus because I don't want to burn my fingers. I'm going to hold down my paper with the stylus, bring in my heat tool, and I'm going to try to dry this a little quicker. You can see it's starting to get gray more than white now. Cool that a little bit, and then I'll feel and see if it is dry enough. It feels dry. All right, so just making certain. So now then, I have a few more finger daubers in this container in the different colors that I want to use. Drop that back down in. And we're going to do Petunia Pop, or not Petunia Pop, it's Berry Burst. And then the Summer Splash. So I'm going to open up my Summer Splash. I'm going to go ahead and open up Berry Burst. And then pretty certain that in Summer Splash. And I think that one's Berry Burst, but let me check this one. Nope, it's this one. All right. So I'm going to start with Summer Splash. I'm going to load up my finger dauber. And I'm going to pick one of the flowers. I think I'll pick this one. And we're just going to start brushing ink on that flower. Can you see the difference? This one's gray, that one's got the Summer Splash on it. So I'm going to let that dry a little bit. I'm going to go to a different flower. And maybe one down here. Now this, if you go over into the black, it doesn't show up as much on the black as it does where the white is. Go back over this one. And this one. And then a few of these smaller little flowers. if you can see the difference. So these have the collars on them. We're going to do a berry burst. Pick that up. We're going to lay that down. That color. Whoops, I put it in the wrong one. And then right here, okay, so that's pretty good. Let's see about pretty in pink, maybe. There's a few flowers on here that don't have color. Just going through and adding, trying to add a little bit more color, and I'm dotting it more than I'm rubbing it. With these other colors, it seems to do better if you just dab it on, then rub it on. Okay. And then I'll pick up some more berry burst after it's had a little bit of time to dry. I think you can start to see the colors popping now. Okay, and I'll go back with my berry, or my summer splash. And make certain that all the little bits are covered. And there is our embossed black with some color added to it. I'll try to add some more pink to this one. And then to a few of these little flowers. So it's just kind of like that. So I'm happy with the way that that is. Put away these finger daubers. Put away my ink. We're going to do a little bit while that dries. And if it's not dry enough and we are ready to work with it, then we will just hit it with the heat gun. I'd really like for it to dry a little bit on its own so we can basically see how it's going to turn out. All right, so we'll set this up here for now and just let that dry. There we go. So I'm going to bring all these other pieces in. I want to look at my hands, which they're messy, so I want to make certain and get any ink off that I can before I start touching my Whisper White pieces, or Basic White. It used to be Whisper White, now it's Basic White. Okay, so that's the worst of it. It's on my thumb, but I think I've got it to where it won't come off on my stuff. Okay, so take and fold my thick Basic White in half. Grab my bone folder, crease. And this we are going to add just some liquid glue. And it's just a very small border because it's only an 1/8 inch smaller. That gives us a 1/16 inch. 1/16 of an inch border. So it's kind of like that. Excuse me again. Pardon me. Got me a little drink. Maybe I'll click off it. And then the next piece is this white piece that we're going to layer this one onto. Turn this over. We're going to add liquid glue to the back, and because this is such a thick, heavy embossing folder, it's the 3D one, you want to use a heavy something that will stick well, like liquid glue or tear tape or something, but the liquid glue will get down into the grooves of the embossing folder and hopefully stick well. It looks like I've got a lot of glue on there, but it is a very thick embossing folder. Move this up. A little bit of ink came off, so it's still a little bit wet. So line this up. Move that so I can see what I'm doing. With using the liquid glue, you also have a little bit of wiggle room where you can fudge a little bit on scooting it around. And that turned out really pretty there. And so now then I want to bring in my ribbon at this point. So I want to grab my ribbon scissors, trim, and then I'm going to cut off another piece. This is where I'm going to use my tear tape to be able to put the ribbon on. I'm just going to add it to the back here. Press that in and burnish a bit. I'll take your pick tool. Lost this for a little bit. I found it. Just lift those backings up. And we're going to add our ribbon. So come here first. Put my ribbon there and bring it around. And then add it to the back here. Trim off this excess. All right, so we're not going to do anything with this piece just yet. We'll add the liquid glue to the back of this one again and go from corners in. It helps adhere the corners well. I want to put some on this ribbon because I want to make certain that sticks well. Even though I've got the tear tape holding it to this, I want it to stay onto the card base itself. I shall move this out of the way. Bring in our base, and okay. So this opens this way. So I'm going to put my ribbon at the bottom like this. I hope you're enjoying this card. This is a fun card to make and put together. Like I said, it's not a quick card, but it really does give it some pop. Just some pop of color. Isn't that gorgeous? I just love this card. I hope you will give it a try. So now we're going to do a little bit of stamping. I just love it whenever the techniques are really cool and they turn out well. All right, so I'm using the Round We Go for the happiest birthday here. And so I have that already on a block. So that's what we're using the Round We Go for. Excuse me. Then we're also going to bring in the floral piece, and I believe I think it's this one. No, it's this one here, the smaller one, I believe. No, it's this one. It's the larger one. I'm so sorry. It is this larger one. I thought it kind of looked like the floral in the embossing folder. And so that's coming from Lifetime of Love. Also, I forgot, we're going to use this time to celebrate for our inside of the card. So I want to bring in that Berry Burst. And then I have my Memento Blackout. So I want to ink up this floral piece here. And I'll stamp off. And then I'm going to stamp on my deckled circle here. And I'm stamping off so it won't be as dark. Stamp off. Stamp in this corner. Now it's time for the memento. Ink up my time to celebrate. There. So right here in this middle, stamp time to celebrate. And a little fun fact, when we have the photopolymer, and sometimes when it's the red rubber, there's a coating on here, and the first few times that I try to stamp with it, it does not stamp well. And so I take a nail file and go over it, or one of our old sanding blocks, and I just kind of buff it a little bit and get that off so that whenever I ink it up, it'll ink up quite well and stamp well. Whoops. Try that again. Yep, like that. So this one here, close that card base and bring in this circle. I'll get it inked up and go through that flower. Happiest birthday. Like that. And so I find it stamps much better if I just buff it just a little bit the first time that I'm going to use it. All right, so those out of the way, this out of the way. All right, so we are going to add this to our berry burst. I'm going to bring in a few dimensionals, flip that over, and put a few on the back of my happiest birthday deckled circle. Add that to the berry burst. Flip that over and add some on the top and whoops, the bottom, because this is a heavily embossed, because it's 3D embossing. Take the backings off of these. It in here. I'm trying to line up my birthday with the a ribbon piece. Come in just a little bit like that. It's pretty well dry. Then I'll slip this up underneath this piece of ribbon. This is a faux bow, so I'm going to crisscross. Tuck it under, just bring it down on that piece of ribbon, and I can still slide it right the moment. Slide it down here just a little bit, and then I'm going to pull it tight. And my ribbon scissors, trim away. Just like that. So I want to add that little bit of spritz again. And this is just one of our spritzer bottles, and I've got alcohol in it. And it can be any kind of alcohol, but the one I'm using is 91% isopropyl alcohol. And then I take my Wink of Stella, wherever it's gotten off to. And I just put a few drops down into the tube. Here's some. So you just take the cap off, unscrew this, and drop a few drops down into the tube, and then fill it up the rest of the way with alcohol, but not clear to the top because you have to have room for that little tube to go down inside. That's the spritzer. And then you reattach that cap, shake it up, because see down in the bottom is all that gold or that flecks of the Wink of Stella, and you just shake it up till it's all mixed, and then you just hold back and spritz. And I didn't spritz this one quite as heavy as I did the other one, but see all that shimmer on there? And then you can see all of the colors that are popping. And so in person it's very pretty, very, very pretty. I can see it well on the screen, but in person it is absolutely gorgeous. So I hope that you will try this technique. So this is my Technique Tuesday for this week. I appreciate you joining me. Don't forget to subscribe and click that bell so that you'll be notified of future videos. And thank you so much for joining me for tonight, and I hope you enjoyed the technique I shared with you today. I encourage you to once again to hit that subscribe button, and then it helps me to grow my channel and to continue bringing you these projects to all of you. And so I hope that you have happy stamping and creating this card. And like I said, in the comments, let me know where you're watching from. I love seeing, all the different places that people are watching from. And you might tune in to some of my other playlists on YouTube. So I have Make It Mondays, mystery stamping, I have boxes. I'm in my countdown to Halloween, so I hope that you like this Technique Tuesday and you give this a try. I do recommend a thicker, a heavier floral or image, because this one here is just a little bit too fine of a detail, but it is pretty in person. But I really think this one pops the most. So thank you for joining me, and happy stamping!